Yeah, back in the field with the track stars, Ryan Righteous, Shantana, DJ Jeremiah. What's good?
All right, for all things Trackstarz, make sure you go to trackstarswithaz.com. Follow us on Instagram, like the Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, download the app, and leave us a comment, all right?
Okay, so this is gonna be fun today. It's gonna be fun. So obviously, Summer 21 playlist just came out. We have some guests. We got our our boy Rick Sincere in here, but we also got
Mike 5.
your boy.
It's Mike 6.
It's George in the building. How you doing, sir?
Good. So glad to be here. What a blessing.
Yeah,
What's up,
man.
George?
Good to have you, man. So I wanted to, since you were in the midst of this playlist that just dropped.
Yeah.
Talk about the experience. How'd you get the call? Like, how did this all come about for you?
Awesome. Well, it kind of started a couple years ago when I started working with Miles. Y'all know Miles Minute.
Yes, sir.
And he's one of my best friends. And we've been working together for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And so we just been building. And I remember, I know it was in both of our hearts to make the summer playlist, but I remember I was, Miles had called me, was like, bro, we got to get something. We got to get a record. So the way I write songs, I have a list in my phone. So we can be in conversation and you can say like, you could be like, man, this is hot fire, right? And my brain will be like, hot fire. So I literally grab my phone and write it down. So I have a whole list. So I remember I was on a computer and I think I heard somebody say, man, it's 70 degrees or something like that. I wrote it down, went into the booth. Well, first I started making the beat, went into the booth, came up with the hook, came back out and realized that, hey, I need some drums. I need like some authentic West Coast drums. So I reached out to a producer named Dars, which is Miles's first producer. He produced that record, Pluto, with Miles and Few.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, Dars, look, man, I need you to do what you do on the drums, dog. He put them on, got the record. I called Miles. I was like, bro, we got something. Miles put his verse and we sent it to Ace Harris. And Ace loved it. And it was a waiting game. So we were just, patiently waiting. And we finally got the confirmation like, hey, it's on. Well, hold on. Let me go back. Ace heard it and it was just me and Miles. And then he said, hey, let's put Portia Love on there.
Good move.
Yeah.
And me and Miles was like, yes,
Ace
sir.
is the genius. He's the genius.
Because
Hey, Sean, do we get credit for discovering Ace?
We didn't discover Ace. Ace discovered us, bro.
No, vice versa though. Remember when PK one day we met them years ago?
Yeah, so
Kind of helped them out a lot.
the
Stop it,
story,
fam. Stop it.
yeah, I wouldn't put it that way. The story is Ace was in a group it wasn't called PK One Day at the time. It was called something else. You
Preacher's
remember?
Kids.
No, even before that, it was like R something. It was they changed their name a couple times.
Yeah.
And they came to our church. And I remember it was Motown, Ace, and Brian Taylor. I think.
Yeah.
And that was the group. And they sat down with us. I think we were in front of Barnes and Noble.
Yeah. Barnes and Noble.
In Marietta. And they were just like, hey, we were coming from the secular side. They had worked with T.I., they had worked with Nicki Minaj, Chris Brown. Like they were working heavy.
Hypnotic.
Work. Yeah. They were called Hypnotic and one. That was one of them. That's still not the name. They had like 4 or 5 names.
That was their production name.
Their production name was Hypnotic, and they sat down with us and they were like, hey, we really want to use our talent. They bring in their talents to South Beach, right? Yeah. And they really wanted to say, hey, look, we worked in the world. We want to help with the church. We want to make sure we could build this thing up, get quality beats. And these guys worked hard, man. I remember going over to their apartment at the time and they just had equipment up 3 a.m. in the morning. They just had equipment up, making beats, constantly making beats. So Ace has been putting in work. So for him to say, give you that seal of approval, I want you to know how special that is. This guy is a genius. Put in years and years of hard work in the industry. And for him to solo you out like that and say, I like this song, I'm putting this on the playlist, that's such a huge nod, man. It's a huge nod.
It was such a blessing. And, not that you should look for man's approval. to do what God's calling you to do, but it definitely puts it in perspective of you're going the right direction. It gives you, you know, and for Ace to love the record, you know, was a big deal. So big ups to Ace Harris and big ups to Miles and Portia. Appreciate it.
So it was a submission process. Were you asked to submit, or is anybody able to submit and then you just got picked?
I think it was kind of, I call it running plays. You know, I love putting plays together, you know, and but this was me and Miles together, like putting our heads together, and Miles was actually the lead on this, and so Miles was the one who sent it to Ace, because Miles was, I'll say this, Miles was supposed to almost made it last year.
Okay.
To the playlist. It didn't work out, and but yeah, we submitted this bad boy and it clicked, and it was dope to have West Coast. You know, a lot of people think I'm from Cali, but I'm not. You know, I rock with Cali heavy. I love the sound, and but yeah, to have that West Coast sound on the project was dope.
So for the people who don't know you, tell them your story, how you got to this point right now.
Awesome. How you doing? My name is George.Rose. I am originally from St. Louis, Missouri, but at age 10, I moved to Dallas. I'm a pastor's kid. I went to Covenant Church in Dallas, T.D. Jakes' church, you know, so, you know, moved around a lot. But anyway, been doing music professionally for about 8 to 9 years professionally. And I was in the secular arena for a while, and I don't even know if I like that word secular. Just sounds.
We normally
but
say
yeah, I was in the secular arena, and had a lot of great things happening. I believe it was my path to be there. You know, I met a lot of great people. I started working with two brothers named Playing Skills. Got signed with them. If you don't know who Playing Skills are, they're a producer duo out of Dallas, Texas. They produced and got a Grammy for Chameleonaires, Riding Dirty. They sing rolling. They did Got Money by T-Pain and Lil Wayne. Got signed with those guys. I love those brothers.
Wait a minute. You had something to do with Riding Dirty?
No, I didn't. But,
okay.
But I was.
We got a segment coming up. I gotta write that down. Go ahead,
man. I was signed to the brothers that made that song, and they got 2 Grammys, and so God put me in that position. I actually started off as a dancer. I'm a hip hop dancer. Been doing that. That's how I got my money for years. Dancing at bar mitzvahs. We're gonna circle back to that. I know that
bar mitzvahs. Okay,
yeah, I know. We go. Man, it's a whole man. And went in. I actually got brought in to dance backup for one of Playing Skills as artists, and at the time I didn't know who they were. I got brought in, and the rehearsal was at their studio, and I'll walk in, and I'm still doing music, you know, but I'll walk in, I'm seeing all these plaques around the room like Snoop Dogg, and I'm like, who is this? Where am I? So we start rehearsing, and I find out who they are. And, you know, slowly but surely, they find out, you know, that I did music, and they loved what I did and brought me on board. Next thing you know, I was in Vegas. They took me to Vegas, then to LA, did a music video with Red Foo from LMFAO. And next thing you know, I'm in the clubs with Lil Jon. Then next thing you know, so it's just I literally went from my bedroom making beats to thrusting into the spotlight. Learned a lot of things business-wise. So was there a couple years, but throughout that whole time, I knew that I was called to something different. I knew I was addicted to drugs during that time. I was addicted to cocaine. Well, I did a lot, man. Actually, the first drug I ever did, like before weed, was ecstasy. You know, the rave scene was big. I think like 2011 and on. You know, I'm a dancer, so we, you know, went to a club one night, popped one, was out of my mind, and from that moment, got stuck in that cycle of every weekend, and then got hooked on cocaine. Almost lost my wife My children, my wife was like, look, I love you, but if you keep doing this, I'm gonna have to check out, But that didn't even really make me stop, I got a phone call from my mom. She called me 3 times out of like 6 years. And the first time she called me, she's like, "Hey George, my mom's a prophet. She, you can't hide nothing."
Oh wow.
So I get a phone call. I think I'm like 22, and she's like, "Hey George, God just wanted me to let you know that you need to kind of chill out with what you're doing." Right? Didn't listen. She hit me about 2 or 3 years later. Hey George, God told me to tell you that you need to stop. You need to stop. Still didn't listen. The third time happened when I was like 25. My son, 26. My son was here. I think he was almost 1. And I got a phone call and my mom was crying. And she was like, "George, God told me to tell you that if you don't stop, you will die." Right. Wow. And I remember, when you hear something, when someone tells you what God said is nothing new, because God's been dealing with you on it the whole time. That's what it was. And I remember the thing that really made me walk away was she told me, she's like, God said basically like your son will follow in your footsteps. Wow. Now that should have been a no-brainer, but my son has my name. He's George.Rose. I have my father's name. And so that was really what took me out and caused me to leave. So I dropped everything. I literally had that week I had a team in LA. I had a team in LA at what was his name? He produced for Lady Gaga. Man.
Not Akon.
No, but it was in that Red One.
Okay, Red One.
Red One. Okay, yeah.
They were at Red One Studios. I couldn't make it out to LA because I had to dance at bar mitzvahs. I was out there, doing my thing, you know what I'm saying? But they were out there, and this is in the midst of, the record that was going to Cardi B. I had a record going to Cardi B. I was getting ready to start working with Trippie Redd, and but I left it all behind. I walked away. I even told God I'm done, because my mom was like, when God tells you to leave, he means leave. He don't mean like I left it and got into ministry. And me and my wife was children's directors at Covenant Church, for a year.
Yeah.
And
Man,
that's just everything.
Powerful.
Sorry if it was too long. I mean, there's more.
Nah, man.
Nah. I mean, that was a good summary of it brings to mind so many questions. I guess my first question for you is, you said you grew up a preacher's kid, right? Yeah. Pastor's kid, PK. At what point did you kind of come away from the church and go into that direction? Because we usually hear it happens like right around youth ministry, when you graduate high school, go off to college. Was that what it was like for you too? Yeah. So, I'm talking to myself like, I'm gonna be open. I'm gonna be open today. So at 20, I moved out of my parents' house at 20. And around 21 is when everything just snapped. I lost my virginity at 21, did my first drug at 21. And it wasn't nothing. I remember my parents, when they found out what I was doing, they was like, "What did we do wrong?" And I'm like, it was nothing y'all did wrong. It was what y'all did right. You know what I'm saying? This world. No, it was just, I had been up under my parents' covering, for so long, man. The prayers of your mama and daddy really worked. But when I stepped out, it was like, it's go time. And I tried my best not to do those things, but it was just right. It was right timing for me. It was the place and time. And, for a long time, I didn't have sex, I was able to curb, women like, no, I'm good. No, I'm good. But in this situation, it was like, you know what, bro, you 21, you good, go crazy. And from that moment,
it was what it was.
It was what it was, man. I should be dead, y'all. I shouldn't be here, man. I should have every disease in the world. I should there's no reason why I should be here. I shouldn't have my wife. She shouldn't be with me, you know?
Can you speak real quick on something you said, George, that really kind of like hit me, like covering, like how God, your parents, and even like to even going in your story deeper, even your wife, like you're covering, like you said, I should be dead, but your parents praying for you. I'm sure your wife praying for you.
Yes.
How important is not to ignore that covering? You know what I'm saying? Especially right now, we got a lot of Christian artists on our chat right now, but just tell them like about the importance of having a covering, like a legit covering that can help you in your career in music.
Oh my gosh. I learned, you know, working at a church, how important covering is, because I surround myself around men, godly men, all the time. You have to, like any artist listening, you have to submit. You have to submit to somebody. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the biggest pastor. You have to submit to someone that's going to help keep you in check, that's going to pray for you, you know. And it really put it in perspective, because I got 3 kids now, you know. And so now I'm looking at them like, Jesus, please keep my babies. Please, you know, you're praying for their future. You're praying for their spouses, you know. So that covering works. And so the importance of covering is everything. Don't go out, you know, alone. But there's somebody praying for you. There's somebody out there praying for you. There's a reason why, like, you should have stepped off the curb and got hit by a car, but you didn't because of that covering. It get that deep, you know. So yeah, covering is very important.
Yo, you weren't tempted to respond to your mom almost like, yo, what are you talking about? I mean, you say she did call several times, just kind of out the blue, like, you need to stop. You never was like, yo, which, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Chill out. I'm good. What was your response in those moments?
You sit there, you just sit there like, it's like you're getting a whooping, you know, for something you know you did. You know what I'm saying? You can't, you know, it's just like, I ain't gotta take it. I mean, I'm
familiar,
still walk away and do what I'm about to do, but at least, you know, the people in my family, we're hard-headed, you know, so it usually take us a couple of knocks, and God is so graceful, you know, like his grace really is sufficient. I didn't deserve him giving me 3. Now it will come to a point like that last time when he said I was going to die. It wasn't a spiritual death. It was a legit death, because during that time, man, God is so good. During that time, I was really on the cocaine, y'all. I was going to the trap houses. I was, it's funny. They knew my name at the trap house. They knew my name. You know, people, you know, I don't know if you've ever been in that life. You go knock on a, you know, you got to wait outside, click, click, you know. Well, when I would knock, I wouldn't say it was favor on my life, but wherever I would go, so people be in line, I knock in, they'll open. Oh, it's George. Hey, let him in. Yo, I'm walking in. I mean, it's dude, you know, people with guns. I'm sitting there and I'm helping one of them with their music equipment. Hey, bro, yo, look, man, look, you know. So, but I should have been dead, y'all. And but yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
So I had a question for you. So I wonder how often this happens to people, and I wonder if it happened to you. Yeah. Did you feel at any point that you were being raised by your parents' religion and you hadn't found God for yourself?
Man, I'm so glad you said that. In a sense, but I knew God for my. I'm trying to see how to put this. I knew God, but I didn't know God for myself. I knew him, but there's something about getting along with him. There's something about that of going through situations when it's just you and him. And you know, I accepted Christ when I was 5. You know, so I knew him, but I didn't know him until, you know, I got along.
That's good.
Well, yeah, I think sometimes people, when you're under that, when you're so in a, people say religious household, or you're in like a household where a family of faith, and the restrictions that box in that line to get out of there is so tight that you like, I can't wait till I get older to get up out of here. But then you realize when you like you get out there, and that like you literally are the prodigal son eating slop somewhere, and you in somewhere like, God, how do I get this far? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then all they're praying about is you come back home, and it's like,
Mhm.
man, you know. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's an amazing testimony, bro.
Yeah, and my parents were the best. I mean, they actually should have been more strict. And this is, I'm not knocking my parents, but they were lenient with us. Now they were strict on certain things, like not letting us go to people's houses, you know, that they didn't know. And I respect that, you know. They did not play. They did not play. Can I go to Jimmy house? I don't know Jimmy, mama or daddy. No. And I find myself saying the same thing to my children. I don't know them, and nothing against, but I don't know them.
Yeah.
You know?
How old are your kids?
Man, I have a 5-year-old, George.Rose. He just started kindergarten this week, y'all.
Yeah, I want to start this week too.
Emotional. Me and my wife cried last week. We went to the it was the open house. It ain't even started yet. We sit in the bleachers. And I'm sitting there like, you ever seen like a sausage and it's like getting ready to burst? I'm sitting there with tears, and they call my son's name down, and it's just
George, that ain't nothing on you, bro. You telling your story. Ryan's puffy ad-libs is not helping your story out. You're like, I gotta
man. I understand. Go ahead, brother. Yes, we say something.
No, man. Just me and my wife sitting there realizing a couple things. A, we have a kindergartner. B, we getting older. And my son is no longer, how can I say this? I got control issues. So, you know, it's relinquishing that control. Like he's getting ready to be with another grown-up that's going to be very influential in his life. He's going to be around, you know, so but he's 5. My baby girl, she 2. She's 2 years old. She wild. I love her. She's that one, you know, she that one that, you know,
the middle child too.
Yeah. And then my baby, he's just turned 9 months.
Oh wow.
Oh. So my last question for you, George, and I'm gonna let somebody else have the floor. When you see movies and television, and it exploits drug use and it makes it look cool and fun for young kids to drink and do drugs. How does that make you feel when you actually struggle with it? And what do you think the message is that they're trying to convey to us when they put that in the most popular TV shows and movies?
Well, I remember I couldn't watch Breaking Bad.
That's one of my favorite shows.
I know. And everybody around me was like, bro, this show. And me and my wife started to watch it. And at the time I was really trying my best to stop. And when I would watch it, it would make me want to go get it. Wow. You know, so I don't want to be that guy and be like, but when they put stuff like that, and I feel like it's in what context it's in, it could be showing like real life, you know. But it really does hurt people that are struggling with it. You know?
I can imagine.
You know?
So I have this question. All right, when did you decide? Right. Actually, you talked about it earlier, but when you made a decision to go Christian, right? Did you have a temptation or a thought like, man, the best artists, the best producers, the best business people are in that secular world, right? Were you a little bit concerned about switching over to Christian?
You mean disappointed?
No, listen. I heard Kanye talk about this when he was at what's the name of that church with Joe Osteen?
Oh man, what is that? Oh man, it's in Houston, ain't it?
Yeah,
I forgot. You know the name of the church?
Oh, but I can't remember either.
I forgot what it's called, man. I got it's not called
Lakewood.
So he was when he was there, he was talking about, he was like, man, the best everything is in, you know, in the secular world, right? And he was thinking about making the move over, right? And my question to you was, were you concerned about making the move over? And when you made the move over, did you feel like you would lose some stuff?
No, because when I left. I wasn't even trying to come back to music, period. I literally let it go. And God gave me the opportunity to come back. And I was like, are you sure? But he's like, I want you to go back Christian hip hop. But my first placement into Christian hip hop was my brother, to the day I died, Dayton. That is my man.
That's a good way to come back.
He is my, or come into. There we go. Come into Christian hip hop, and I actually got connected with him on the secular side, but it never worked out. It didn't work out into the switch, and he was actually the fire that lit for me. It was lit for me to come to Christian hip hop. Did y'all listen to Hell in the Hallway?
Yeah, great album.
The Dream Has Died track with him and Bumps.
Okay,
I produced that.
Dope.
And which that got me into the door, made it easy for me to maneuver. But yeah, it was not, no, man, because it's funny, I'm getting more secular pull now.
Really?
Because it wasn't about, I remember my wife tells me all the time, because when I'm starting to get hit with like outside the church stuff, she was like, George, it wasn't that God didn't want you in the secular. You just you weren't ready. So now when I'm getting these opportunities, God can trust you. God can trust you now. I can be in the studio with Chris Brown and, whoever, and not be tripping off no drugs, or not saying Chris, but if drugs or women, you know what I'm saying?
That was what you saying.
Speak your truth, brother. Speak your truth.
I get to work, with guys like that, because that's the mission. I don't want to just stay in Christian hip hop. Why? That's like being a preacher and only preaching from the pulpit.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're preaching to the same people who don't want to change. The people out there, there's like a stat that's out. It's like 5.2 billion people don't know who Christ is. Something like that. And so let's go get those 5.2. And how do you do that? Go get people with influence.
That's dope, man.
Powerful.
So let's finish up again. Summer 21 playlist.
Yes.
Tell them how to find you, how to support you, stream your song up.
Awesome.
Like, let's make it happen. Tell them how to support, man.
Man, you guys can support by my Instagram is George.Rose.music. You can find me on YouTube at just type in George.Rose. I have a label called Lifestyle Records. And Facebook as well, just everything George.Rose, George.Rose. Make sure the period is right in between the rows, because there's a couple of George Roses out there.
George, is there a dot in between Rose and music as well?
Yes, on my Instagram, yeah, George.Rose.music.
Awesome, thank you.
Good stuff, man. Yo, great having you on, man. You definitely, I hate that we're not in the studio, because this would have been such a special moment to have you in, man. So once that comes back around, you got to come through.
So can I tell y'all this before I go?
Sure.
This was being with you guys. It was on my bucket list.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I told Jesus. I said, look, I want to be on Trackstarz. And when I stepped off, when I did the Rapzilla freshman 2021 performance a couple weeks ago, God is so good. Right after I stepped off stage, that was my first time performing a set. I stepped off stage, and that's when I got introduced to you guys. So he was like, hey, we would love to have you on. And so after that performance, I literally went to the back. So many people were stopping me, but I went to the back, and El Dewan, him and his wife went back there. I was just crying.
Wow.
Because God was just moving. So thank y'all so much for even having me on.
Yeah. We so happy to have you here, man.
I don't take this for granted. Y'all are really doing that work, dog, and y'all are the standard.
Yes, we are, man. Hey, man.
None of what you
I done made it now. I'm on Trackstarz,
man. Hey, I just want you to know, none of what you just said makes any sense to us, but we appreciate it, bro.
I know.
It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me.
No, honestly, man, that means a lot to us. You like we were talking before the show started how long we've been doing this, and sometimes it gets like, it says don't get weary and well doing. Like sometimes it gets hard. And to know that we're having impacts on people like you, man, it makes it worth it, bro. So thank you, man.
That's what's up.
I gotta say, it's crazy how you started off the conversation about how when you got the when you sent the song off to Reach, you were like, you know, it was crazy that you got the call back and y'all were in the waiting game and stuff like that. And then you dropped later on that you were working with big names like Cardi B and Trippie Redd, and it's like you're so humble about it, man. Like we appreciate that in this space, because we would almost assume that, you know, someone who's had the opportunity and exposure that you've had, that you would come back and this would be the last place that you think, you know, you want to be. So we appreciate that, man. That's really dope to hear you say that, and humility just exudes from you.
Thank you, man.
So much. I appreciate it.
You should have seen Jeremiah's face was cheesing when you were talking, bro. Like, I wish I would have switched to him. He was cheesing, man. Like, that means a lot to us, bro.
It does. It does.
I got it. And it's only up. It's only up. Don't give up. Don't let up.
We won't, man. We won't give up.
No, I'm laughing because of Rick. Rick is making me laugh, bro. What? Mike Six is alive today, bro.
What's going on, man? I'm so, man, you don't know how, man, what you doing in my spirit, brother.
Yo, man, we miss Rick, man. I was like, yo, Rick, come on, man. The people, they need you, bro. They miss you, man.
Bro, we've been doing this for so long, man, and have somebody like you say something like that, man. That just touched my spirit.
So George, there's a story behind this. We'll tell you about the story later, but it's a story behind this.
Yeah, man.
Rick is.
How did you, real quick? How did you find out about Trackstarz?
Miles, actually.
Okay.
Well, no, I don't, man. I'm trying to figure out. I mean, when you're following like, you know, everybody, 9 times out of 10, y'all are kind of like it's like the gatekeeper. I don't say like, I hate using that word, gatekeepers. You know, it's kind of like the right.
Hey, say that. That's cool. That's cool.
You know, the right of. It's kind of like rite of passage. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be, you got to go on Trackstarz. You know, it's kind of like being a double XL freshman. It's like, man, if I do that, that means I'm doing it right. You know, and I mean that with y'all. Like, that was why I was like, God, I specifically told him I want to be on Trackstarz, because if I can get on there, that, you know, that would mean a lot. You know, so.
That's awesome, man.
Hey, brother, we got to keep in touch after this.
Hey, man, come on, man. We friends now, bro.
I'm gonna learn how to cry from you.
Come on, man.
Because
come on.
I haven't cried. I didn't cry when my first kid went to kindergarten, but I did cry when that first gray hair popped up. I was like, Lord,
you threw your kid to the kindergarten teacher.
What'd you say?
I say he threw his kid to the kindergarten. Like, take him.
Here you go. Here.
I'm a little bit more trustworthy, George. They'll tell you that, like, I could just like see somebody walking down the street and they look like they had a Bible in their hand. I'd be like, hey, talk to my kid. You want to go say hello? You know, like, I'm a little bit more trustworthy. I haven't seen what you've seen, so I thank God for the guardianship that He's given me. But I need to be more like you. So thank you.
Nah, man, I got some. My family's very unique. I got mixed redhead kids.
Oh snap!
Yeah, you know, except for my third, he came out dark hair and everything. But yeah, my first two are redhead. My wife, she's redhead. Her daddy redhead. Her sister red. So it's full
man,
blown,
I
man.
gotta go to your IG. And
y'all go to my IG, man.
George,
man, mixed redhead kids, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna DM you my number, man. We gotta keep in touch.
Yes, please. Thank y'all so much.
All right, man. Let's get into it. You in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Wright, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. Let's go.